Google Forms is great for quizzes or assessments, so I want to take you through how you might create one and how you might score that. So I've started a possible quiz here that has 2 questions. You can write your questions ahead of time, or you can start by clicking on the wheel up here. You can do this before or at the end. And if you click on quizzes, you can make this form a quiz. And you have 2 choices. You can have the program automatically give feedback to students right when they finish. So perhaps you're doing a multiple choice question and you want them to see right away if they got it right or wrong. Or if you know you have some questions you want to manually score, you could have them get their results later after you've manually scored. And then you'll click Save. And now if I go down and I click on one of my questions, right underneath it, it says Answer Key. And if I click Answer Key, I can choose the right answer, and it gives it a green check mark, and I can put in how many points I want for that question. My second question here is one that is going to require a longer response, and I know I want to manually grade this question. So here, when I click on it, when I go to Answer Key, I might give answer feedback for when I send it back to students so that they can see the different parts I was looking for. But for right now, I'm just going to put in a total number of points. And then I'm going to go up and pretend to take this like I'm a student so you can see a couple responses. So the first time I'm going to go in and I'm going to answer leaves. And I'm going to say photosynthesis is the food making process in a plant. But the question asked me to include some of those words, but maybe I'm a student that's going to decide not to do that. So I'm going to submit my response. And if you look here now under responses on my form, it says 1. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to submit another response, and you can change that so students can't be able to go in twice. And this time I'm going to answer roots. And describe the process of photosynthesis. Maybe the student thinks it's when a plant grows. And I'll click submit. And now going back to my form, you'll see my 1 changed to a 2. I have 2 responses. So as the students are taking it, I can go to the responses as they come in real time, or I can wait until all of the responses are in. It will give me a summary of all of the questions. It will show how many students answered each type of response and what they answered. So here's my 2 answers for my longer question, which hopefully they'll write a lot more than that. And here are my 2 answers for my multiple choice. If I go to question, it will show me each question individually. So here's question 1 of 2. Where does photosynthesis take place? And here were the 2 responses that I got. 1 for leaves, 1 for roots. And it shows this one's right and this one's wrong. If I want to, I can change one of the scores. But I want to look at the second question because that's the one I want to manually score. So when I go to the second question, you'll notice because I didn't have a correct answer, it says I have 1 ungraded response. It tells me what the response is. I can say if it's right or wrong, and I can give it a point total based on how I think the student did. So right here I have both answers from the 2 responses that I got to the quiz. So if I had 20 students take this quiz, I would have 20 responses in a row, and I can go from one to the next and grade each one. So that's one way that you can grade question 2. You could also go to individual up here at the top. It will tell you who took the quiz, and then it will show you each question they answered and what they answered, and you can manually score at this point too. So you could go from student to student. After you're finished manually scoring and the point total is updated, right here it says score not released. Because if you remember at the very beginning, I told the program to wait until later for the students to get their scores. So if I click release score now, it will send an email to the person who took the quiz, and it will show them how they did with their responses and with any feedback that I choose to leave, because there's spots for individual feedback that I can give each student.